Hey everybody, this is Kamina Sue here from Strength Karma, my channel, and the whole point of my channel is to build yourself from the inside out. And today I'm absolutely delighted to have as my guest that I'll be interviewing in this video, Michael Smith, the founder of the Meta Health program, also known as the Heart Health Guy. So Michael and I met, actually we've been online friends for a couple of years now, and I really wanted to bring Michael into my channel today to interview him because he has an incredible way of really helping people with one of the biggest killers in the Western world today. So Michael, why don't you go ahead and explain a little bit about what you do and a bit of background about yourself and how you got into this path of helping people with their heart health.
Well, thank you for having me, Carmina. Yeah, we have been friends a long time, and we started off, learning to press up to handstands together. And then
right. Yes.
Last year, I wasn't always interested in heart health, but had a situation that life transformation that came upon me. It served as a wake up call, and I lost my brother on May 12th of 2020. I got a call from my sister saying that my brother Rick was dead. And I just, I literally dropped to a knee in that moment. And I couldn't believe it. And what we had heard initially was that he had hit his head while mountain biking. And he was active, a healthy guy that was always doing things right. But about 3 weeks after he passed away, we received the medical examiner's autopsy results and said that his coronary arteries were 85 to 95% stenosis or blocked. And to me, that was a huge wake-up call to find out if my healthy brother, who growing up was on the World Cup freestyle aerial team, doing triple, quadruple backflips on skis, and I mean, he was mountain biking when he passed with one of his sons. If that could happen to him, who else could it happen to?
Who else is vulnerable? Yeah. And did he have any indications at all that he had heart disease before this happened?
We went to the same doctor, coincidentally. We didn't really ever talk about, who's your doctor or anything like that. We were healthy guys. And, we're lucky that we even went to a doctor. Most guys don't. And, and it turns out that his lab results that he had gotten were plus or minus 3 points in his cholesterol scores, his triglycerides. I weighed significantly more than him. His autopsy said he weighed 157 in pounds. I don't
wow.
Kilos right now. I weighed 200. I wasn't overweight by any stretch of the imagination. He's about 5'8".
Right. So if you looked at him, he would look like a lean, mean, kind of athletic looking guy.
Absolutely. And so, it didn't make any sense that that he hit his head, because he was an excellent mountain bike rider, and didn't make any sense that he had a heart attack either and had heart disease. And so, we all have a certain level of naivete or ignorance of what our bodies are doing and how they work. And, there's so much wisdom and intelligence in our bodies. But there are biomarkers that we can be aware of. And I've come to find out that most people don't even know what their biomarkers are and what their risk factor is, because it's not just one thing. There's not a gold standard for assessing heart disease risk. And I'm sure there's people listening to this right now, like thinking the same way I did. Well, that's other people. It doesn't happen to me, or, that's, but they have no idea where they are in regards to the potential time bomb in our chest that could go off anytime.
When your brother had a heart attack, it was obviously a big wake-up call for you. What happened? What did you do? Did you find that you were looking at yourself and thinking, oh my gosh, if my dear brother Rick, who's such an athlete, had a heart attack, then what about me? And you were saying that you weighed more than him. So what compelled you to take action? Obviously his death, but then how did you go about it differently? Like, did you want to explore a heart health program that was already out there, or what led you onto your path?
Western medicine does not treat the symptom, or excuse me, the causes of heart disease. It treats the symptoms.
Right.
So if you have high cholesterol, there's a pill for that. If you have high blood pressure, there's a pill for that. And these will bring down your symptoms, but you're on those medications for the rest of your life, along with the side effects that come with them. Now, there's been great advances in Western medicine. I don't mean to knock it at all, but there's also great advances from ancient wisdom of avoid it altogether and then be healthy. It's only been in the since World War II that we've really adopted worldwide the idea of convenience food, of make it convenient, make it fast, and make it taste good. So it's these conveniences that are full of that are processed, that are full of chemicals that over time, chronologically, add up and become chronic diseases, along with chronic stress that we live under all the time these days. And there's so many things, lifestyle things that we engage in, that by just educating ourselves a little bit. I mean, I was just a guy that was going about his life doing whatever he did, and didn't think two thoughts about these things until I lost my brother, and then I wanted to find out, well, what can I do? So I called the Dean Ornish program. I said, I want in. Let me in. They said, you can't come in. They said, this is a intensive cardiac rehabilitation program. This is for people who've had a heart attack or a cardiovascular event.
Really? So that program is really more for people who are sort of further down the path towards death, really, than somebody like yourself who actually had a wake-up call and was really wanting to do something about their health.
40% of people do not survive their first event. So 40% of the people out there aren't even candidates, will never even get a chance to go to Dean Ornish's program because they're dead. And and so if you want to get serious about this, you have to learn, and we help people to learn what they need to learn in a expedited manner. But you have to then, there's so much controversy about, well, should I follow a whole food plant-based diet? Should I follow a keto diet? Should I follow the Blue Zone diet? Should I follow the Atkins diet?
I know there's so many out there, isn't it? For the average person, it just can be quite disorientating. And also each one of those different ways of, they have proponents who have their own agenda. And so they tend to push one forward ahead of the other, don't they?
There's no, you say about proponents and having an agenda, there's no lobbyist here in the US in Washington for broccoli, but there is for the meat and dairy industry. And there is for other industries that benefit from the profits that come from having people put certain things in their mouth. Then it becomes cyclical, that some of the same owners of the meat and dairy companies also own pharmaceutical companies. It also own, it just goes, hospitals and healthcare. And why not? Here's the food, eat this, it tastes good, it's full of sugar and salt. And when you have a problem, here's a pill, and keep eating those sweet foods and things that those processed food. And here's another pill. And when you need a surgery, come to our hospital. And it's not as simple as that, but we have unintended consequences of the systems we put in place. And some are, I'd say, fully unintended, but it's hard to imagine that some of these are not intended.
So you created your program because you saw that there was a need to help to stop people from getting to that point in the first place where they would have their first cardiovascular event.
My motto is the best way to avoid a second heart attack is never have a first. I lost in 30 days 35 pounds. My blood pressure dropped to be better than average. My cholesterol went from 263, and I know that you've done differently in New Zealand. They use, I should have figured out the conversion for milliliters, but to 136. So it went from being quite high
Mm-hmm.
to being amazingly healthy.
Right. And you achieved this in
Triglycerides,
30 days. You achieved this.
yes. And our bodies don't hold grudges. You know, you can eat all the
Yeah.
junk, crap, smoke, whatever, and as soon as you stop doing that to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
your body will immediately engage in the wisdom it has to heal, literally heal, you know, any of 1,300 metabolic diseases, of which heart disease is one. And initially, I started off with the program focused just on heart disease,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the same program, the same lifestyle changes that affect 14 of the top 15 ways that people die, according to Michael Greger. The only one that is not affected by it is accidents, and accidents specifically from going into the hospital. So if you can avoid the hospital, which is called iatrogenic diseases, you know,
Right.
as if you have to hide, that's called hospital disease. That's because you died because you went to the hospital and got medical treatment.
Wow. It sounds like that your message is that you want to be staying out of hospitals as much as you can. So with the heart health guy, Michael, in terms of like, if somebody is concerned about their heart, how do you even know that you've got you're in the danger zone?
Well, if you're one of the 40% who die from your first event, don't worry at all. You're not going to be here.
Right.
But if you're someone who is in that 60% category who will survive their event, there's some things that you definitely could have done and should have done to avoid having that first event. And I say that, you know, tongue in cheek, and I apologize, but that's the way that most people approach it. Is that you know, it takes losing. So it took me losing my brother before I got serious. I mean, my doctor 3 years ago said, well, maybe we should start you on a statin. You're getting close to 50. I'm like, yeah, I'll do this with lifestyle. You know, I had a background. My bachelor's degree is undergrad degrees in behavioral science and health, and knew that, you know, that you can affect these changes. But I never did anything. And you know, you need to be, you know, not just know what to do, but you have to be committed to doing it. There's not just one thing for heart disease. I'd say the biggest risk factor, the most popular test, is cholesterol. Everyone knows, oh, cholesterol. And I'd say that's the least accurate indicator of what's really going on in your system. Much more important to me is the inflammation and of what you have in the insulin resistance. And that causes all sorts of problems throughout the body, that most of our bodies are inflamed from cheeks to cheeks.
Like, sounds like from top to toe kind of situation.
Yes, from tip to stern or bow to stern.
Right. Yeah. And what do you think is the cause of this inflammation? It's probably, I'm sure it varies from one person to another, but just generally speaking, what you've observed, you know, amongst your clients and things like that.
It's a diet. You know, what goes into our mouth. They're called metabolic diseases, which is, again, one of those words like iatrogenic that hides what we're really talking about. What is metabolic disease should be called put in mouth disease. These are diseases that come from what we put in our mouth, and that the sugar causes inflammation. Meat and processed meat causes inflammation. Alcohol causes inflammation, and our bodies are amazing at healing themselves. If you kick your shin on the coffee table, it's going to turn red and swell up, and it's going to get inflamed. You might even take a NSAID, a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug like Advil or something, ibuprofen, and your leg will get better. But if you kick your leg on the coffee table for breakfast, lunch, and dinner 7 days a week, it's never going to get better. So even the foods that we do eat that are healthy for us, we have a inflamed system that can't take full advantage of the good foods we are eating, and just keeps getting further and further behind in its work. And like I said before, the body has so much wisdom, so much intelligence, that when we actually pause and ask what is the best way to feed our body, if you go online, you'll again be confused, but T. Colin Campbell in the China study, one of the largest nutritional studies done in the world, showed that and scientifically proved that the whole food plant-based diet was the most beneficial for stopping, preventing, and reversing heart disease. That your body isn't meant to be diseased. Not, our bodies are, I mean, part of this huge intelligence of the universe, of how nature works. And if we feed our body the way that nature intended, and my latest understanding of if you think about the energy that runs your body, I mean, you run on bioelectrical impulses. Where does that energy come from?
Right.
I ask adults, they don't come up with an answer. Kids always say the sun. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. Right.
So think about that. Does the energy in your body come from the sun? I believe it does. I believe that the photons that come from the sun, that go through the photosynthesis process of plants, that fill the plant full of prana or chi or life energy, life force, that when you consume plants, that becomes part of your life energy and life force. And so really, it's called a whole food plant-based diet, but what if it was called a whole sun diet? Or a wholesome diet? And that we look at your food and say, how much energy is in this, how much chi is in this, how much life force, the sunlight, the rain, the soil, and everything else, how nutrient dense is it? Did that whatever fruit or vegetable grow in soil that was rich in minerals to absorb those, and it's going to become part of you.
So how do you find like the more like the medical models of like reversing heart health? To my this is from somebody like myself who I'm looking at it from the inside, from the outside in. So since I just looking at it as an observation, but they don't really talk about the heart to heal the heart. They talk about it like biomarkers, yes, very important, like the physiological things that need to heal. But what's your take on, I know that you're a yogi, like the more spiritual aspects of healing your heart.
Yes, if you look at the heart as just a mechanical pump, then you have a limited view of the heart. It's impossible for a pump the size of the heart to pump a liquid, your blood, through the 60 to 70,000 miles, which is 3 times around the earth. And if you look up how water moves, there's properties to water that still at this point we don't fully understand why. If you look up on YouTube, Water Bridge, there's an experiment where they put electrodes in 2 different cups, and they put the cups next to each other, they pull it apart, and the water will actually come out of both cups and create a water bridge. They have no idea why that does it. It's a tensile strength that is holding it together about an inch, and it falls, but you bring it back together and it will pop back together. And if you put a hydrophilic tube in water, it creates a current. The water will start flowing through the tube. It doesn't just fill the tube, it actually flows through the tube. And there's properties in the way that our blood is charged that will do the same thing through our vascular system. In the capillaries, the blood actually stops. And that would, to restart it again, you need more than just a pump. So there's an electrical charge that also, I believe the heart is a pump, but it's also a generator. And that's where the blood gets energized. And if you look at the nervous system, the number of veins, nerves that are in the heart, especially in the left ventricle, that where the blood spirals out of into the aorta and the aortic arch, that blood is charged with your energy to take that life force to every cell in your body. And that's just still talking mechanistically. There's a whole emotional side to the heart, how we love ourselves, love each other. Why is it then when someone loses a job, gets sued, or goes through a divorce, that the incidence of heart attacks and deaths rises? You need to feed your heart and nourish your heart. You need to increase your heart rate through movement of 30 minutes a day, 150 minutes a week. You need to decrease your heart rate through yoga, meditation, breath work. You need to open your heart to love and compassion. You need to focus your heart on your passion and purpose. Why are you here? What is it? Why is your heart still beating? And the last thing that we focus on in the mental health transformation is you need to rest your heart, meaning not your resting heart rate, but you need to get good sleep.
And I also love that description where you balance, it sounds like you balance like the more like, yes, taking care of the mechanistic functions that the heart has, but also that, I mean, let's face it, a lot of people are pretty cut off from their hearts because we live in a world where there's a lot of stress, with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unknowns. And when we do feel that we're in a place of unknown, it's very difficult to relax into the heart. We have to be vigilant to know what's going to happen next.
I'd love to ask people to put their hand over their heart and feel their last heartbeat. That freaks them out. And I say, you okay, your most recent heartbeat.
Right.
But which is your last. And one day you will have a last. And that will be the end of you in this incarnation. But I also like to then take people back to their first heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
And research has shown that there's fibers that 10 days after conception are the first flutterings of what will become your heart. And since that day till today, your heart has done nothing but serve you and to do its job day in and day out. If you needed more blood to your systems and to your muscles, to your organs, it's increased its output. If you're relaxing, it's decreased its output. It's done. And so that then, begs the question, if this device, this organ in us that really is what will keep us going or end our life, how well do we take care of it? How heart-centered are you? How many of your decisions of what goes in your mouth and what you do with your days and your time are centered on your heart? And to just become more heart aware, because I mentioned earlier that so many people are heart ignorant or heart naive. There's one state in between called heart curious. Get heart curious.
So heart curious is where you would be finding out more about how your heart works from it.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and find out what foods your heart makes your heart sing, and it makes your body thin and makes you feel amazing. One of the largest nerves in the whole body connects the brain to the heart. But research has recently found out there's more information that goes from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart. Exactly. If you ever want to get a reaction out of a romantic partner, just try telling them you love them with all of your mind. I love you with all of my brain. I've thought about it and I love you with my brain.
Right. Yeah. That's great. I'm going to have to try that one out, and I'll let you know how it goes.
I only warn you, only do it for a reaction to see, have a good discussion about what it means to love someone with all your heart. If you actually try and pull that off, I don't think the person will stay with you.
Your program, the Meta Health Program, tell me a little bit about that, and who do you think and who is this program for?
My brother left 6 kids, and he'll never see them grow up. And he won't be there for weddings, for graduations, for games, and everything else. And really, I've thought, who owes it? I mean, none of us was asked to be born, and certainly you have you can do whatever to die, but you owe it to your kids to stay alive. To be there for them. And so really I'm focusing on parents in their 40s and 50s who want to stay alive, especially you have to have a why. And I'm not saying that people who don't have kids don't want to stay alive. I mean, whatever your passion and purpose is, part of the program is to help you to discover and go for that, to live that dream. That's why you're here. And but really, the sooner the better. I was actually talking about who we're targeting for this program with some colleagues, and my youngest son overheard me, and I said, really, people need to start in their 40s to make changes. My brother died at 52. When should have he made changes? Certainly in his 40s. He said, my younger son, who was 19, said, well, what about 19? Why not? Why not spend your whole life being healthy? Fortunately, we can abuse our bodies with all sorts of food, alcohol, smoking, up until the time we're about 40 or 50 and get away with it. But you're not going to get away with it the whole time. If you're running the numbers, male heart attack happens at 55, first female at 65. And so really, if we were to narrow it down from there, men in their 40s and women in their 50s. But again, why not at 19?
Why not? Absolutely. And set the healthy habits, right? That's what really gets people. It's like a pattern of behavior, of eating and exercise and taking care of your stress levels and all that kind of stuff, sleeping well. That's really the game that we're after.
Learning a new lifestyle is like learning to play the guitar. That you shouldn't plan on being good at it for about 2 to 3 years. So give yourself a little leeway of maybe not scheduling a performance or inviting the neighbors over to eat what you're cooking the first year, but learn to make these changes over time.
I know a lot of people who are watching this will probably think, well, I've tried doing this, I've tried doing that, and I haven't been able to succeed. So I think it's very important to have somebody who can sort of be a guide and sort of be the person who can help that person on their journey, because it can be quite hard to do it by yourself.
You need to find your tribe of people who have this global culture of being healthy.
That's right. Well, which is what I'm wanting to do with this channel, and also be talking to someone like yourself. So thank you so much, Michael, for talking about heart health and your program. And so how can people find you if they're interested in finding out more about what you do, if they want to improve their metabolic health? Where can they find you?
They can find me at the hearthealthguy.com. And
Cool. Yep.
I'm just a guy that I don't have a medical degree. I don't have any other certifications. I'm a guy who lost his brother and got interested in heart health. I'm now working with cardiologists on improving their health, as well as designing programs for the community writ large for how to improve the lives of so many people. When you go to the cardiologist or your doctor, they'll tell you, oh, you need to exercise more and eat better. And here's your pills. But they doctors aren't trained in nutrition. They aren't trained in lifestyle management. They're trained in pharmaceuticals.
So Michael, what would you say would be some 3 take-home tips for people watching this video who want to change their metabolic health? Just 3 simple take-home tips.
The number one thing is look at your sleep. How are you sleeping? If you're not sleeping through the night, if you're not sleeping enough, that's going to affect your health more than anything else. Number 2 would be to find out what your risks are. What are the tests that you should have done to find out what your relative risk, 10-year risk is? And number 3, know absolutely that these metabolic diseases can be stopped, prevented, and reversed. That you can turn your health around and do so quickly. Your body is a $1 trillion device that nobody even knows where the owner's manual is. However, there's some clues. And if you start putting foods in your mouth that the fuel of what you become, you can be healthy. And there's so many stories of people reversing all types of for heart disease, liver disease, cancers, multiple sclerosis, so many diseases, diabetes, that you can be healthy.
So there definitely is hope, in other words, most definitely, with our bodies being the amazing vehicles that they are. Well, look, Michael, thank you so much for your time today. It was great speaking with you. And if you are interested in more of this content, you're watching this, and please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I bring out content every week. Thanks so much for watching, and Michael, we'll see you around. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Carmina.